Kurilovas. I'm from Vilnius University and Vilnius Gediminas Technical University. I will try to chair this section instead of Dr. Danguolė Rutkauskienė, who is in another meeting today. So she asked me to chair this section. We have 1 hour and 40 minutes, so the presentations were minimized to 20 minutes. That is 15 minutes for presentation plus 5 minutes for questions. Okay, 15 minutes for presentation and 5 minutes for questions. It's not for me. It's not about me, it's about organizers, so I can do nothing here. So our section is a special section on smart e-learning technologies and applications. Okay. Certificates have arrived. So in the first presentation is virtual reality in education, new ways to learn, and the main author is Thomas Dvorovskis. Okay.
Okay, can start. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm a doctoral student, Cenk Canbut, from Kaunas University of Technology. Today we will see how we can improve learning approaches using virtual reality technology in education. This is our motivation. We assume that traditional history lectures are boring. This is just an assumption, of course. And therefore, motivation to learn decreases and learning results are getting worse. We have a solution. We approach the solution in this way. We use game-based learning with a big attention to the immersive content. And for that, we use virtual reality. We created virtual reality game and made some panoramic images implementing to this virtual reality game from the Lithuanian historical places. The goal of our research is to study the effect of virtual reality technology game application for learning with the scope of a traditional lecture. Like traditional lecture, as I say, is like normal lecture when teacher speaks and the students listen, and we try to check our approach beside that. The project involved in my Street Story 360 with a budget of 2,000 euros. Around 100 panoramic images, mostly including Kaunas Švenčiai. This is Kaunas region in Kaunas. It's a district. And we took panoramic pictures from Kaunas forest as well. We got historical data from these panoramic pictures and authentic stories belonging to those pictures and the foundings from the local guides. We created, using Kirpao engine virtual tour around these locations. If you want, you can visit this web page. This is created for Kaunas Library, Central Library, and this is the presentation of it. So when we choose the game platforms or the we call browsers nowadays operating systems, we based on the devices that support browsers. Actually, now game consoles nowadays also support browser, but we didn't implement this functionality to control the game. So we developed for browser-based games, of course, personal computers and mobile devices, as well as variable devices such as virtual reality goggles or such as Oculus Rift. So And this is our deployment diagram, how we deployed our devices and what those devices consist in their own system. So this is we of course have client device. This devices can be, as I said, from the previous one, personal computer, mobile device, or any other variable device. This device has a browser system, browser operating system, and in that operating system we have, of course, HTML controller and as a component, and we get a JavaScript package. It consists JavaScript package to call JSON data structure from the database. And we have Kripano engine for XML package to see to switch between the panoramic pictures, panoramic images in the scene, and to catch the stories, to grab the stories for specific artifacts. So we put our game portal is in a web server, and this web server is connected to Kripano engine in the browser, of course, Kripano engine, and then transferred to the browser. So if you want to know what is Google Firebase, this is database we use from Google that keeps the user decisions data. So if the user did a decision in the game, we keep the data in the Google. So according to this data saved, we give a result for the user for next level or coming scene. If we give an example, such like, for example, I found the artifact, I know his story of it now. So if I want to go to a new portal, I face with a generated question, and this question is coming from this Google Firebase database, it's called. So you can see the game screens from here. So game around 100 preselected locations, including century historical object, as well as elements of Kronos Fortress. So game story evolves, of course, belonging to the artifacts as well as those locations from the past. So according to the artifact, you get a story, and this story, as I said, keeps you continue to the game and the process and the progress in the game as well. Player needs to answer questions related to found artifacts, as I said, in order to proceed to the new locations. And the answer is registered in the system. So, and another interesting part of this game is the game doesn't have a linear story mode. The game can be completed from many different ways. So, what were our participants? How we experimented the result, and what kind of tools and conditions we had. So we had pupils, 27 and from 16 class children. All participants learn in the same school in Kaunas, so they are all sharing same concept, let's say. And we have as an experiment tools, educational game, knowledge test. So we put them in a knowledge test. After we compared them actually as an experimental group and the control group. So experimental group plays the game, control group gets the traditional lecture. So after that, we put them in a knowledge test. Then we made a SUS survey, which is called system usability scale, to understand what kind of outcomes from the students. And we ask additional questions to evaluate the engagement, which means the attraction, their attraction to the game or to the story. So we check if it's attractive. And conditions are, there is traditional lecture, and there's learning by the game, as I said, and third condition is that traditional lecture is taken from the student gets traditional lecture and also plays the game. So traditional lecture group simply gets traditional lecture for 30 minutes, and then put it into the knowledge test. Learning by playing group, we call this experimental group. Experimental group is instructed to the game for 10 minutes. So how to play the game, we explain them. And they play the game for 20 minutes. This is the time limit. So we have 30 and 30. So we are in the same track. And then we make a system usability scale because they use the system and make knowledge tests simply. And the third process is, as I have mentioned before, we get traditional lecture 30 minutes, knowledge test, and then we have explained them already 10 minutes. So after the traditional lecture, they get 20 minutes, they play the game, and then they are put in the system usability scale survey as well as knowledge test, which, knowledge test is here, so yeah. So surprisingly, as maybe you would expect, the experimental group doesn't do much well than the control group. As you remember, control group was the group that got traditional lecture. So students got traditional lecture actually performed better than the students just played the game. So it's about, we got from the control group about 54 point, actually exact value 54.61%, better than experimental group which had 41.67%. And here, the group which had traditional lecture played the game more successfully even. So then the group which started the game without traditional lecture. So what this means, so how much they could complete the game. So they got the traditional lecture and they could complete after that the game more successful, like in 20 minutes they could complete, control group completed 31% of the game, and experiment group who didn't get the traditional lecture completed 23% of the game. So there's also interesting survey aspects here. We evaluated how is their engagement. We asked first the experiment group, is it attractive? This survey is calculated using SUS calculation method, by the way. So engagement, how it was engagement, it was attractive. Let's say we asked, and for the people, for control group, it was after completing all the process, it was 77% attractive. For the experiment group, it was only 58.8 engagement. It was attractive, and we checked the immersiveness. Immersiveness is here, like, is it immersive to play the game, or is it immersive to as a learning source, this game? So control group here, 82% say that it is immersive, and the experimental group, control group said 73.3% immersive, and the control point differently. So we go further. The engagement of the control group which played the game after traditional lecture was quite high, and the game story was previsited as a immersive by both groups, so it's an immersive game. And 82.4% of pupils who played the game would like to visit the game locations in real life. So it was attractive. So I want to finally go for our findings. Immersive VR games for history lectures could be made relatively cheap using panoramic photography, so it's not so much budget you need to create this kind of games. So we cannot replace short duration lecture with game activity, so we cannot just replace or exchange the traditional method with the learning with the game, because traditional lecture is more effective for that purpose. Immersive presentation of history indeed boosts the motivation for students to learn and desire to explore the history. So we have this finding as well. And finally, one of the most important, I think, is the most important outcome is the best thing is to combine lectures. with game activity. So not take one out or put one in, but maybe put game activity as an additional lecture to provide a better educational dimension for traditional lecture or vice versa. So thank you for listening.
Thank you very much for interesting presentation. Maybe some questions. We have 5 minutes.
Is it easy for teacher prepare such a game?
Mm-hmm.
Make photos and arrange this game?
Of course, it would for a maybe informatics teacher it would be okay, but for a regular teacher they just need to have the game portal itself. Yeah.
Thank you. The next question.
How you selected pupils for such experiment? These were two different groups.
They
or
were
the same group.
Same group divided in two groups.
But different pupils.
Different pupils.
Maybe results depends on the pupils of their knowledge or their
Might
thinking.
be. It might be, but these pupils were taken from the same class. They are friends, so of course, and they were from gymnasium, so they are quite smart pupils.
Thank you. No questions. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
So the next presenter, as far as I understand, Nina Vinikinė, and she'll present informatics-based task development in the Bebras context management system. You're welcome.
So, hello ladies and gentlemen, I am Lena and I will introduce Bebras Challenge Management System. And first of all, I would like to say some words about that challenge. Bebras Challenge is international challenge. There participate students from 1 to 12th grade, and students have to solve interesting tasks which are based on informatics, and students are encouraged to participate in that challenge during informatics lessons. Teachers encourage students to participate in this challenge, in additional activities, not programming contests or programming activities, but solving interesting tasks. This challenge was established before, in 204 years in Lithuania. During that time until now, it grown in other countries, and at this moment we have more than 16 countries. I wrote 15 countries because I would like to present an article and it is a little bit older data, and at this day we have over 16 countries, and last year participated more than 1 million, half a million students from more than 45 countries. And the main goal of the article is discuss activities based on informatics education and present Bebras Challenge Management System, which is provided in Lithuanian countries. According to literature review, we found several examples of activities which are encouraged in schools for students, and these activities are activities in which students are involved to activities, contents, games, programming lessons combined with robotics or special course, and also students are invited to participate in national or international contests, such as programming contest, International Olympiad in Informatics, Baltic Olympiad in Informatics. Also, Informatics and Computational Thinking Challenge Bebras, which I mentioned before, and also in Information Technologies contest called as Dr. Kazitskas. In addition, students are involved to participate in the constant informatics, and very excited activities. Their students have to prepare their works, and they are invited to participate in the challenge or contest in Computer Christmas Tale. When we look to the activities of informatics education, we also look at the features which explain which platform or which tools are selected for these activities. And at the article we mentioned several platforms which is used for online contests, and several projects there which could be used and tried of students. There are the list of the links, and the main features of that activities is the basic, and during that activity students have to test their knowledge. They are encouraged to learn, and also teachers are encouraged to teach students in excited activities, and especially during the challenge, online challenge or other challenge like Weber's or programming contest, the main purpose of that is to find talent and also promote informatics in schools. During a review of literature review, also we found several links, several articles. There's explanation of which type of task should be if we want to encourage students, and if which task should be used for teachers to involve students to the contest. And there are underlined several types of tasks. The first is task with programming. This task involves programming language, to how to learn programming, and another type of task is task without programming. It is like computer skills without computers. In Lithuania we also have informatica be computer, or computer science unplugged. And also another puzzles, and another two types of task depends on how students have to how students have to use their knowledge trying to code, and how students use that knowledge in programming language like code, and also solving subtask. Like you have one big task, and this task is separated in small tasks, and you have solved that step by step. And according to the task of type, and according to platforms which are used for students' encouragements to participate in informatics education, the common characteristic for all of that activities, for example, International College Programming Contest, International Olympiad in Informatics, company-branded contests such as Google CodeJam, Facebook Hacker Cup, and large portals that host regular contests such as CodeForce, CodeChef, and the Top of Code. That characteristics are chosen according task of type activities which students have to do, and who are the manager of that activities. And we decided that contest management system is essential environment to running challenge actively and efficiently, and it should be involve all tools like student management, contest management, to provide us reference and statistics. And we analyze Webras challenge management system, which give us opportunity to manage information about all students and teachers, gather solution of the task, and organize challenge and provide statistics and drivers. That system was tested over several years and was tested by more than 300,000 students, because we solved last year in Lithuania participate 3,300 students from 3 to 12 grade. And the main system description is provided in this. System consists of several subsystems. You can look to that subsystem description. The main description is system administration. It involves security, source monitoring, and user management. The user management system involves everything what is dependent on students' login, students' all data information, all information about student like name, surname, school, grade, etc. Challenge management involve all activities what involves creation of a task, management of a task, creation challenge at the particular period, and additional subsystem is school administration, task management, results, and communication management. Contest management system of Webras is a web application, and designed the framework of that application consists of MySQL database system, Apache HTTP server, PHP programming language, and Linux operational system. And this system uses model view control structure pattern. We can look to the activities diagram, and we can see that the main role of the system are four. The main role is administrator, students, and teachers. Administrator is the role of whole system. He manage system according administration, according what participants do at the system, and manage teachers. Also information about schools, because information about school is gathered by government, and at the system students have abilities to solve tasks during the challenge time, also command tasks, and look to the tasks which are presented during training time. And teachers have opportunity to review students' results, how students solve that task, and also comment the task as well as students. Also, we at the activity diagram we provided a registered user, but that role of the system is not very important, because this user have only access to training and review training results, nothing more. System consists of 11 models. This models depends on functionality of the system. The main model, as I mentioned before, is user management, challenge management, and discussion model, because all challenge depends on user management, and task management. Also, we provide activities diagrams where you can look to that and you can see how tasks are prepared to the challenge. Because context management system is very important for management of the task, and because this task has to be created, reviewed, designed at the system, like multiple choice tasks, dynamic version tasks, and solved by students, reviewed by teachers and students, and all tasks should be archived in the system, and that system is also used as a database of the all tasks which were used in contest during time of challenge. And at the end of my presentation, I could say that game-based learning activities supports informatics learning by attracting students in various age, and they solve informatic basics during that. And one of the most important challenge for students or activities is Bebras challenge, and Bebras content management system is created to manage that challenge in Lithuania. Also, another system is used for challenge in other countries, and that at that system are created interesting, attractive tasks, which is created to present computer science concepts. And future work will be related to content management system, which include analysis of functionality and improvement of existing components. And we think that additional research about all content management system which are used for Bebras challenge, we need additional review and just to analyze which is common for all system and which are separated. So, thank you.
Thank you, Lena. What about questions?
Can you go to your activity diagram? I want to ask something. What is top list preview? What does this user? Because I see student, unregistered user, and administrator can do top list preview, but the teacher cannot. So
I think it's mistake. Top list preview is the list of students who are the best at the contest. Thank you, because you didn't see.
I have a question. It says that a teacher can evaluate the results the user have done. Is a teacher use just a simple visual evaluation, or the system helps it?
System calculate everything.
The system can calculate only true, false answers.
Yeah.
Only.
Yes.
Thank you,
Thank
Lina.
you.
Another presentation is about Moodle. The title is Online Fault Detection Methodology to Question Moodle Database Using Scan Statistics Methods. And that's my colleagues from Latvia, yes?
Yeah.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, we are three authors of this presentation, and basically this presentation will demonstrate the results of our research. The task was to basically to provide the user with the education steps, or with the steps that he has solved to achieve the final goal. The idea, and basically idea was started, of this research was started about 2 years ago. The task was rather simple. I had to get both driving license, And in our country, to get this license, you basically have to pass the quiz. You don't have books, really, you don't have books. You have previous experience, and the problem was that using the predefined quizzes, anytime I start with the question that I already know. And to get the final results, to find the problematic questions, anytime I had to solve the same quiz a lot of time, because this quiz is online, and this quiz is provided with the same techniques. And the problem was that the system was not able to understand my knowledge, skills, and any times to let the system understand how much I know and how much I don't know. It took time. Basically, if I had 20 questions, about first 10 questions I spent any time answering on the questions I already know. And then I received the question which asked me time to prepare. The same problem is with the students. In Latvia we have limitation, I'll go maybe to the next slides. In Latvia we have basically a lot of limitation in educational system which are linked to quizzes. For example, in the secondary schools it said that creating the quiz, you are not allowed to put more than 10 questions to validate the knowledge of the student during the specific class. The question is, if we can validate the knowledge of the students using only 10 questions, it was difficult, because to understand his real knowledge, we need at least 3 questions to understand its results. Nowadays, testing systems that we used, and of course, today we have a lot of testing systems, and it's not necessary to produce something new, but basically nowadays, testing system provide, it's not only computer-based, it's also the base system that the teachers and the education staff do, provide the structure from simple to complex. Really, it's not possible to get real student level of knowledge because we have proved if we're giving the test on unknown topic, with a lot of questions. For example, if I will give you the test on the topic you really don't know, this test will be on Chinese, for example. I don't know, maybe you know the Chinese, maybe not. And I will ask you to answer to this quiz. The probability that you will get 0 is a rather small one. It's the same as you will get 100%. If you will, by clicking the correct answer in 100 questions, you will track the correct answer. But it won't display your real knowledge. It will display your lucky skill to find the correct answer of the test. The next problem is it's not possible to adapt quiz difficulty level to students' needs. Nowadays system not allow automatic classification of the questions, and nowadays system is not possible to monitor the education ability to learn. Really monitor if the person learning or just spending time by clicking the correct answers. And the last sentence, basically, maybe some people don't agree with me, but nowadays educational system fulfill adaptive, not intelligent functions. One person asked me, because I'm in Riga Technical University, I'm teaching 2 subjects. First one is intelligent systems, second one is adaptive systems. They are too close. And a lot of people are asking me, where is the difference between adaptive and intelligent system? I said that adaptive system is shorter course. And when it stopped, we started speaking about intelligence. And nowadays system, basically, all nowadays system, really, if you will look on it, nowadays system are adaptive. They select the best solution based on previous knowledge, but based on previous. They are not able to define something new. I haven't seen any testing systems which really can create tests for you. I'm selecting, okay, I would like to test our knowledge about, for example, this picture. I give the task, and I'm waiting for the quiz. It's not possible. Nowadays, it's proved that static training system where a user cannot choose a training style that fits their needs, personal needs. Basically, in 25%, this is a reason to stop learning. For example, we have checked it with a huge number of students, about 2,000 students were validated. We understood that just online knowledge validation don't give the rising results of the student knowledge. Some students will stop if they will get 4 or 6 marks. So you think, okay, I have passed it, that's all. I have passed it, and to get the mark 6 is rather easy, because if we have, again, a lot of questions, maybe we will be lucky answering on some difficult questions. Maybe we know this 40%, and sometimes it's a no. And 40% of the persons who are using online self-educational system, not a course system, not for the mark, but for themselves, if they understand this is rather difficult and they're not able to understand it, they basically skip this question. The same is for me. If I'm reading the information in the internet, I'm looking for new information. If I'm not able to understand it, I will skip, I will go to the next one. Maybe I will go back when someone will try to explain how to use it, but basically I will go to the next question. This is the simplest model of any knowledge question database. Basically, for example, this is Moodle database. We have the large unclassified number of questions. The same as Riga Technical University, we're also using Moodle. And in Riga Technical University, the number of questions in the database is really the huge one. We are not able to calculate these numbers because any educational staff preparing these questions, the question placed in one database. And any day it's possible to, we can add random number of questions, because we don't know how much of questions or how much of new topics any educational staff will produce today. And any question should have, and of course it has subject, and any question has its topic as coefficient. Again, the problem, we have fixed with this problem. The same question, really the same question, about the same topic with the same answers. Some educational staff marked it like physics questions, some educational staff marked it as aerodynamic question, some educational staff marked it as computer science question. For example, the question was, what is the necessary part of computer to support the system? In aircraft, it's motherboard and memory. This question is marked as transport question. In computer science, again, it's the same, but it's marked as computer question. The system is not able to identify. For example, I'm trying to create question on computer science, and we have the same questions in one field and another field, but the question is basically the same one. Of course, we can try to combine using if-then condition. We can try to group, place multiply topics, but in the real situation, if we are putting multiply topics, then selection becomes more difficult. If I need strictly computer science questions, and these questions that I said, for example, about the parts are multi-subject question, for the system it will be rather difficult to identify which question the system should select. Speaking about this picture, we have tried rather interesting approach. Past year we tried to use Google to create quizzes for the students. The idea was that really we have checked, of course, using Google, we can find a lot of information. We can find correct and incorrect answers to the specific topic. We created the system that is able to define questions and possible answers using just a simple request. For example, I would like to ask about adaptation process methods. I'm starting searching result. The system will look through the Google forums and so on, everything what it's able to find what people are discussing. The system will try to find correct answer and incorrect answer and try to create the quiz. The idea was to prove that basically any time educational staff creating the same that other people have done already. I'm not the first person who trying to create the quiz about computer science. I'm not the first on this earth. You have also doing this basically, and maybe we are doing the same. And basically I think we are doing the same. It's not possible on one topic, on one subject, create something new. It's not possible to ask, basically the simple question, if you have to identify the person, you will always ask your name and surname, and that's all. It's enough to identify the person. That means that it's not necessary to create new quiz how to identify. We tried to catch this quiz automatically from the Google. We proved that this approach is doing the same as person do. But still, the problem is common how we can these quizzes adapt for specific users. That means that if you try to create the quiz for a specific person, anytime we have select the number of questions from the big database, the full database, we have to select the number of questions, and using, for example, Latvia defined strategy, we have to select that any new question difficulty coefficient should be more complex than previous one. And nowadays, quizzes basically starts with the simplest question, just to understand if the person can communicate and so on, and the difficulty level of the question will be raised. This means that we are fixing with the problem of selection data from the database, pre-processing of information, and determination of user model coefficients. If we have user in system, it's a person who is taking this course. Basically, for the user, we have to define the user knowledge skills in specific topic and user knowledge skills in specific subject. For example, again, using the previous experience, I can understand what kind of fields user is familiar with. Nowadays, in Riga Technical University, using the Moodle database, we're using rather interesting approach to understand the time which is necessary to receive an answer from the student. If I ask you your gender, male and surname, you will click the correct answer. I will calculate the time. Yeah, so I will calculate the time how much is needed to get the answer from you. If I ask the difficult question with the same two options, and the number of words in the question is the same, I will know that the reading speed is the same, the ability to use mouse and computer is the same, other time you're spending on thinking, how much you think. If I'm starting from the simple to the difficult one, I can calculate the time, how it's necessary for your response. It really, again, works. And this is the sample of creating the quiz based on previous URIS knowledge. The task is to validate the URIS knowledge on 3 topics. Basically, we have 3 topics to understand what users know. Number of questions till 12. And basically, anytime we are trying to select the question which is at least at the same level of difficulty or more difficult than previous user experience. We are not trying to show the user simplest questions. We are trying to start from the difficult one. If the user is able to answer to the difficult question, we are raising the level. If he is not able to answer, we are selecting the difficulty level using random option from till his knowledge level. In such option, we are trying to select the real situation of the user. As understood, the time is going to down. Basically, at the end, some words. This works. This helps person really identify problematic fields, but it's only for self-learning. Because if we are using self-learning, we are trying to understand what we don't know. Our task to understand, not to prove ourselves that I can write my name and surname. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you, Alexey. Maybe some questions about this research? If no questions, thank you very much. This is your diploma. And the next presentation is presentation of our group. It's on about personalized learning units evaluation methodology. I'm trying to present. So the presenters are the group of Vilnius University, and our research is about personalized learning units evaluation methodology. The research is, the presentation is traditional. I'll present the aim of the paper, related research, research methodology, research results, and also conclusions. The aim of the paper is to present a methodology. What is methodology? Methodology is a method plus model to evaluate suitability, acceptance, and use of personalized learning units or scenarios. We'll talk only about suitability, acceptance, and use of the software instead of talking about everything. In our research, learning units or units of learning are referred as methodological sequences of learning components that are learning objects, learning activities, and learning environments. It's in accordance with the IMS Learning Design Standard of 2003. So it's the standardized notion. We'll talk about high-quality learning units. Of course, everybody is interested in high-quality learning units that are suitable for our students, that are okay for our students. So, in our research, high-quality learning units should consist of the learning components optimized to particular students according to their personal needs. For example, learning styles. You know that learning styles is a part of the learner's profile or learner's model. In the paper, optimized learning units mean learning units composed of the components having the highest probabilistic suitability indexes to particular students according to Felder-Silverman learning styles model. I have presented probabilistic suitability indexes a year ago in this room, at this conference. But why Felder-Silverman learning styles model? Felder-Silverman learning styles model is known as the most suitable for engineering education and e-learning. So we're computer science experts, computer engineering experts, and it's one of the reasons why Felder-Silverman learning style model is very suitable for us, and we're all specialists in e-learning. So this is maybe one of the best learning styles models at the moment. And there are 8 learning styles in Felder-Silverman learning styles model, and these learning styles represent 4 dimensions: for information type, for sensory channel, for information processing, and for understanding. Different dimensions and different learning styles. So, we have started this kind of research in 2010, and first of all, we tried to evaluate the quality of learning units according to traditional criteria. What are traditional criteria? traditional criteria are those criteria identified by those multiple criteria decision making or multiple criteria decision analysis approaches. And these are as follows: value relevance, understandability, measurability, non-redundancy, judgmental independence, balancing completeness and conciseness, operationality, and simplicity versus complexity. And that was the model created by our group for personalized learning units, and this model is components-based. So here we're talking about separately about learning objects, separately about learning activities, and separately about learning environments, and we try to evaluate the quality, not suitability, not acceptance and not usability for user, but only about scientific and engineering quality of learning units. And here we see all the criteria that reflect all those principles that I have named a minute ago. But the question arises, and what should we do with this model? What this model talks about the suitability for a particular learner. Could our learners, could my learners from my groups try to implement this model in real learning? The answer is not. Why not? This model is good. This model is quality one, high quality one. This model is, but the main problem that the model is evaluated by the experts in engineering and the experts in computer science. And therefore we try to look for some models that will be more user-oriented, and we have found this kind of model. This model is UT model according to Venkatesh. And in this model evaluates acceptance and use of any technology. And we have four criteria here: performance expectancy, effort expectancy, social influence, and facilitating conditions. This is about related research methodology. I will not explain once again the methodology for creating suitability, probabilistic suitability indexes, but in few words, it's about multiplications of probabilistic values of learning styles obtained while filling in the Solomon-Felder questionnaire of learning styles. We have 11 questions, and here we have the possibilities of all learning styles according to the results of filling in the questionnaires. Another question: if we believe this, the filling in questionnaires, because those are psychological things, and we're informatics engineering. What about this? So our methodology is to check the results of filling in this dedicated psychological questionnaires by the results of educational data mining or learning analytics. Thus, we try to check the results of real behavior of learners in the learning environments, and we'll try to check those results with the results of filling in the questionnaires, and then to compare. Another thing is how to calculate those suitability indexes. So we have probabilistic values of learning styles on the one hand, and on another hand, we have probabilistic values of suitability of particular learning object or learning activity, for example, to particular students according to his or her reference to activists, for example, for activist learning styles. And we should multiply this value by the value of the probabilistic value of learning style, and this is the way how to calculate this suitability index. And what means this suitability index? This means the index of particular learning component, for example, learning activity, learning objects, or learning environment, suitability to particular students, not to the groups of the students, not to the learning styles, not to the class, not to the, I don't know, but to particular Tom or Mary, to particular student. And this is the essence of our research. The higher suitability index, the better the learning component fits a particular student's needs. And thus optimal learning unit, optimal learning unit is a learning unit of the highest quality to this particular student, means a methodological sequence of the learning components having the highest suitability indexes. So, in our research, we try not to apply the general model of UT, but to choose one more, maybe more suitable for education. And so we have found the UT-based model called ETASM, according to the paper of 2009. And we see here the three same criteria: performance expectancy, facilitating conditions, and effect expectancy. But we use here pedagogical paradigm because it's for education. It's the main thing about the learning environment. So in our research, we'll use this model. Research results. First of all, we try to implement our suitability indexes. It's our scientific novelty, and we'll try to implement those new quality criteria that are suitable for education: performance expectancy, effort expectancy, facilitating conditions, and influence of pedagogical paradigms. And we should apply all those four criteria separately to three different kinds of learning components that are learning objects, learning activities, and learning environments, and all the suitability indexes are based on Felder-Silverman learning styles model. So those are results of our research, and we had done several calculations, and those calculations are quite precise and reflect the differences of acceptance, suitability, acceptance, and use of those software. And this is the method that is based on that model. We're calculating the average of those suitability indexes and multiply those average suitability indexes by the sum of all criteria multiplied by the weights. So the user could use the weight that should reflect the weight of those criteria for particular students who evaluates this scenario. So the main conclusion is that proposed model is components based on the one hand and ETSM based model on the other, and it's more convenient in comparison with the purely components based model presented by the figure 1, because it's based only on suitability, acceptance, and user evaluation made by the users. So thank you very much. Maybe some questions.
Did you arrange an experiment to evaluate your model?
Yes, we have tried this model. We have tried to compare this model with the other models and to look at the results. Are there any differences? So we used very well-analyzed models such as TOPSIS, And we have calculated the results for the same learners, and we have got almost similar results of that model and our model, but the difference is that our model is only about acceptance, suitability, acceptance, and use. So our model is more personalized one for concrete students, not for all the quality, but for particular students. Another result is that TOPS is a very good and very pedagogically sound model elaborated by Professor Zavaskas from Vilnius Technical University, one of the world leaders in decision making. And our model was as good as his, so we're happy with this. Thank you for the question.
What about integration? Where this model can be integrated?
With what?
With, for example, tool or some kind of system, because it's kind of method.
Yes,
So it can be
the kind of method. In my last paper, I tried to integrate this method with the method to evaluate suitability, acceptance, and use of virtual reality. Not virtual, but augmented reality, but it's about the same thing. Why? The suitability indexes is appropriate for all technologies. And the ETSM model is appropriate for all learning and e-learning things. So it could be applied for all e-learning technologies. So thank you very much. And the last but not the least, our presentation from our colleagues from the organizers, from Kaunas University of Technology, the study of gender equality in information sciences research institutions in Lithuania. Please, Indrė Manovska.
Yeah, thank you. Šį padėjau. No, sorry. Yes. Okay.
Technical assistant.
Thank you. Mhm. I would like to talk about our participation in the Horizon 2020 program project Equal ICIST, which aims to the structural changes in the research organizations in informatics sciences and technologies with the basis to increase share of gender in research institutions. All presentations during this conference was about technology, software, e-learning, and now I would like to talk about people. And because it is the main part of the research and development, and now this sector of ICT faces for the shortage of human resources. The aim of this project, of this research, was define the program, present the the gender equality gaps in research institutions in Lithuania, and deeply analyze the problem in case study. Situation in ICT economic sector in all world is very similar to European situation. all economic in ICT need more and more human resources, and it is predicted that until 2020 Europe need 1 million workers in ICT, and in Lithuania was made survey of Mosta and Infobalt, and they found that until 2020 Lithuania will need 11,000 professional workers, and one of the possible solution to invite more women and girls to work in such sector, and our project was for these purposes, to analyze problem, analyze statistical data, literature, select factors about career women in the ICT, and collect national policy documents, and to gather best practice descriptions in Lithuanian institution and in partner institutions. And we found 4 main inequalities in ICT sector regarding gender issues. First of all, there are gender stereotypes in the areas of labor market. Here you see that more than 55%, no, here you don't see this, but more than 55% of workers in researchers in education are women, but women dominate in health, in education, in arts, but in technical sciences and physical sciences dominate men. Next stereotype is roles assigned for women in research. Roles usually are administrative or support staff. Here you see that here is percentage of men that are in the top positions in the universities of Lithuania. You see administrators, only 13% are men. But in faculty deans, directors of institutions, heads of departments are mostly men. And third factor or inequality is social obstacles. It takes longer for women to take a research degree because of their family life, because of breaks in the work due to maternity leave. And these facts, these statistics show that in the second line we see that 32% of Lithuanian women have college degree or university degree. In European Union, less percentage of women has education, so high education. But women get less salary here in Litas because statistics is very it is a law. We necessary to wait some two years maybe when we get statistics of the for example 2015 year. The four statistics in litas, wage in litas, and you see that 83% of women carry cooking and looking for children, and only 21% of men do such work. And yeah. And European Institute of Gender Equality suggested two main changes to overcome these social obstacles, that it is necessary that men should be more involved in childcare, in the family work, and the second, that should be increased the social infrastructures to help women in their life. And fourth inequality in the promoting women in ICT research sector is that girls have negative imagination about research about science and about their work in ICT sector. And these factors are inattractive and inadequate image of scientists, and that social environment does not motivate to girls to choose science as profession, and teaching of computer science is oriented to boys, to men. Textbooks in computer science motivate or engage boys. And in our project we discuss, is it necessary to write in the task for student and use not he, but she or he/she, that maybe it is necessary. But girls didn't see their place in computer science or further career perspective in the science, and that universities did not take account in peculiarities of women thinking. When we did calculated statistics of our students, girls, we found that they are most attractive in multidisciplinary study programs, multimedia technologies, IT in distance education, and maybe we need more work in the popularization for girls such specialties. And here you see for our faculty staff in our celebration of 40. I would like to say that Professor Abdel Salem yesterday talked about case-based research for predicting illnesses, and our project also used case-based statistical data and gathered information, gathered statistics from the partners institutions of this project. And here I would like to show some statistics of our faculty. You see that only 10%, less than 10% bachelor graduates are women, less than 20% of master degree women. Only quite better situation in PhD degree students. And here you see statistics, percentage of women bachelor degrees, and you see that only multimedia technologies study program has quite a lot of girls. And if we see next slide, IT study program, IT of distance education, it had 54% of women. And now it is quite popular study program for girls. And when we look into the structure of our staff of the faculty, women comprise less than 30% of staff, and they prevail in administrators, in assistants, in coordinators of dean office, and all management positions, higher positions, and academic positions are dominated by men. And we talked with our partners about their situation. Here you see list of our partners, mostly our universities, and units are or information sciences or computer engineering, and country Portugal, Italy, Finland, Liechtenstein, Ukraine, Germany, Norway, and Greece. And what we see here is percentage of women researchers. You see that less than 40% in information sciences units of partner institutions are women. Only Liechtenstein, but it is small institution, and it's different situation. And also percentage of women professors, less than 30% in every country. UTU is University of Turku of Finland, and it is interesting that they said statistic is such, but they said that men in in Finland feel as that they need fight for their rights, because their law is very good prepared, good arranged for women. And before telling about future work, I would like to show conclusions that women are not proportionally represented in ICIST fields of science. Women are not proportionally represented in top management positions, in top academic positions, and women gross monthly earnings make only 70% of men, and women in interdisciplinary information science study programs have a higher success rate than women in traditional ICT study programs. And further work is methodology for designing and developing gender equality gaps plan, gender equality plan for informatics faculty, Kaunas University of Technology, as every partner will develop such a plan, and the measures which will be put in action are career access and development, research governance, working conditions, and considerations of the gender dimension in research program and in public funding. Thank you.
So thank you very much for interesting presentation, and we will have the time enough for one last question.
Maybe it's.
So
Thank
thank you
you.
very much. Thank you. And the section is closed, and we have 1 minute left to the lunch.
Thank you, Professor, for chairing the session.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.